On TikTok, you are not selling the plot of your book. You are selling readers an emotion. And in this video, I'm gonna teach you how to do that. Social media, and more specifically Book Talk, can be a life-changing platform for authors. If you can get traction on TikTok, you can reach so many readers and absolutely change your career. The algorithm is extremely powerful in connecting you to people that are also interested in the same thing that you are writing, but you have to know how to talk to the algorithm. And I'm gonna tell you right now, not every single book is cut out to appeal to the TikTok algorithm. I am an author who spent years trying to get traction on TikTok for my Stranger Things and Fear Street inspired 5-book paranormal thriller series, They Stay, and it did not go well for me. And then I wrote a book this year with TikTok algorithm in mind, implementing the things I'm going to talk about in this video. And that book has been getting a lot more traction. I've had multiple viral videos. I had over 500 people want to beta read my book just from seeing my videos on TikTok, and it has started to completely change my career. So when a person sees a video on social media, they are not connecting to the details of your plot. The plot details are rarely what actually gets somebody to purchase a book. What they connect to is the feeling that that video gives them, and they buy the book because they want more of that feeling. People buy books that make them feel something. So telling them what happens in your book is not enough. I know that's easier said than done. Like, I know you can hear that and be like, oh yeah, that makes sense, but like, how the heck am I actually gonna implement that in my videos? I'm gonna do my absolute best to make this as actionable as possible, but also bear in mind, I'm still learning, and this is the best way that I've been able to boil down the things that I've been trying and what I've been learning into something that can also be actionable for you. I'm not an expert on this. I don't have a formula or a set method, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tell you the 4 things that I've noticed go viral on TikTok. So these 4 things, if you can incorporate these things, your video or book idea has much higher chances of going viral. Then I'm gonna compare my book that was less successful being marketed on TikTok with my book that is more successful being marketed on TikTok, compare the differences, and then share with you my analysis of why my new book is doing better. Then at the end, I'm gonna give you some actionable takeaways that you can apply to your own books to see if your book is well suited for TikTok marketing. I swear trying to film anything in the winter is just you racing the setting sun. It's not even that late out. What is the sun doing right now? It is 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So the thing that I've learned about the TikTok algorithm is what it really comes down to when determining whether or not a video is gonna go viral is how shocking that video is. The more you can shock your viewer, the more likely they are to engage with that post. Like, let's say you're making a video about like a scientist in a lab, and they're like wearing a really like sexy lab coat, and you know the lighting is kind of dim, and you're talking about this scientist that is alone and cold in this lab, and you're reading this TikTok and you're kind of like watching it with the music and you're waiting around to see what the twist is, and they're like messing with the petri dishes or whatever, and then all of a sudden a human being grows out of the petri dish in front of the scientist's eyes, and it's like this green man who's like shirtless and chiseled and really, really, really sexy, and this man, and like the woman is like in the corner, like, you know, stumbling over the chairs because she's so terrified of what's going on, and the man is like, hi there, I'm the coronavirus. That is so weird and so shocking, and you were not expecting it as a viewer, and that is going to go more viral than, you know, if another like sexy scientist came out and they like brushed hands while they were like messing with the petri dishes. Take a guess at which one is going to go more viral on TikTok out of these 2 ideas. The first one is girl goes to rodeo and falls in love with cowboy, and the second one is girl goes to rodeo and falls in love with the cow, who is actually secretly a man, and she doesn't know that. The more shocking your premises, the more likely it is to get a visceral reaction in your viewer. The next thing, which is very similar to shocking, but I've found is slightly different, is you wanna make sure that your TikTok or pitch is unexpected. Let's go back to the first idea, like with the scientist in like messing with the petri dish. If she starts hearing a voice coming from the petri dish, and really it ends up being kind of like a Horton Hears the Who, and like the bacteria is kind of talking to her, and it ends up being kind of a story where, like, you know, she's talking to the bacteria. As a viewer, you're like, oh, that's kind of cute. But if like a giant naked chiseled man comes out of the thing, it's just like, it's so far out of the realm of what people usually read. It's very strange that that is more unexpected, maybe, than the little bacteria that's talking to you from the petri dish. The more unexpected your twist is, the more of a gut punch it's going to give your viewer, and the more invested emotionally they're going to be in it. The next thing I found that is key to having a video go viral is things that are taboo. You may have noticed that the things that tend to do really well on Book Talk are the things that are really spicy, pretty dark, or have some element to them that is a little taboo. I'm not trying to give you advice for how to write the best plot and characters in book possible. I'm just trying to speak from my experience and tell you what I have found the TikTok algorithm responds to the most. Let me give you an example from the book that I just wrote. Trigger warning for rape and sexual assault. I'm gonna put the timestamp that you can skip to right here. I have a scene in that book where two characters are being held by a serial killer, and that serial killer has like a flair for the theatrics, and they have to convince that serial killer, I'm not going to go into the super complicated plot details of this, but they have to convince that serial killer that they actually like hate each other and want to kill each other in order to escape, because they're in love and trying to help each other. And the serial killer forces one of those two characters to have, or pretend to have, non-consensual sexual activities with the other. But it is actually secretly consensual because they're also in love, and so nothing non-consensual is happening, but they have to make it seem like that for the serial killer. That is an extremely taboo concept, and that elicits a very strong emotional reaction from people, and the algorithm likes it. I've seen other authors with monster romance do really well with this, like minotaurs that are having relations with people. I get one author's videos all the time where she has this fairy world and they're like locked up in this prison, and these higher ups in the fairy kingdom flood the dungeon with magic that makes them want to participate in activities. And those videos I am always seeing do really well. There are a ton of dark romances that do really well in the algorithm, like the stalker romances. Things that are taboo just do really well on TikTok. That is probably one of the reasons that we see so many books that feature more taboo themes. Like, I included that scene in my book just because I knew that information. And other people are doing similar things, so we're seeing a bit of a surge of things that are a little bit more taboo in our books. And the last thing I've noticed that does really well on TikTok is significance. Like, when you make the reader, or like the stand-in character for the reader, really significant to the other person, especially in a romance. Like, if you're writing a romance and character A would burn the world down for character B, and character B is just the center of their world and they would do absolutely anything for them, that character B is very significant, and that gives the reader an emotional reaction because they're like, oh, I want to be significant like that too. So obviously these things can't apply to every single book, and they shouldn't. I don't want to sound harsh with my advice, but I've found in my experience that not every book does well on TikTok. And this is why. The algorithm favors things and plots with more of this in them, and books that are a little more unique and don't have those taboo elements in them, or books that are just more normal and don't have all of those things in them, don't do as well on the algorithm. So my book, They Stay, was inspired by Stranger Things and Fear Street, and follows a group of 4 teenagers as they try, like, there's this really creepy thing going on with ghosts in their town. There's this evil necromancer that was in a freak show in the 1940s, and he is like killing kids and reanimating their bodies with the ghosts of other dead kids. And so they're having these kids go missing and then reappear acting really different than they did when they disappeared. And these teenagers are the only ones that can like save the kids and stop this guy, because they're the only ones that believe what's going on, because there's a medium and she can talk to ghosts in the cemetery. And it ends up being this whole thing, and it's like a really giant, like deep ghost hunt thing that they have to deal with over the course of 5 books. But it's not very tropey. I started writing that book in college. I just followed my inner intuition, and I pulled from all of these different things that I loved in stories, and I wasn't thinking about marketing, I wasn't thinking about TikTok, I wasn't thinking about anything other than what I wanted to write. And so that book is just the product of like my heart as a 19-year-old. It's fresh and it's original, and that was one of the reasons that Writer's Digest picked it to be the winner for their 2023 Self-Published Book Awards. They said that it was like a breath of fresh air and really original. And so I was really, really proud of that. But because it doesn't have those things, I found it really hard to market it on TikTok. And I've given up trying to market it on TikTok. I'm like, that's not where I'm gonna be finding my readers. I've been working in like finding readers through Facebook ads and through organic growth and all sorts of other channels. But when I sat down to write a new book, I was like, I really wanna see if I can write something that is a little bit more in line with what TikTok is gonna want, because I know that TikTok can kind of help me hack into a new level in my career. And also, I personally really like a lot of these elements in books. Like some people, it's really, really not their thing, but I read a lot of book talk books and I really enjoy them. And so I wanted to incorporate those into my new book too. So it was half because I was trying to be a smart marketing person, and half also just because I really loved it. Because I will never like compromise the things that I love in order to like create something that is marketable. I'm finding it very, very hard actually to write something that my heart is not in 110%. But this new book is about a girl who joins a team of ghost hunters who hunt the ghosts of dead serial killers. And then they hunt a killer who's based on Jigsaw or inspired by Jigsaw, who takes couples and forces them through like Saw-like games designed to try to break their love and prove that love is fake. And the girl who joins the team gets kidnapped with her mortal enemy, and thinking like mistakenly, like the killer thinks that they're a couple, and he starts to force them through the games, and she thinks that she has to fight for her life, but he's actually really secretly in love with her, and the killer knows that, and so he's like doing everything he can to protect her and have her come out alive, and then they end up falling in love, maybe? It's enemies to lovers. And it's called The Love Trials. So right off the bat, The Love Trials was really high concept. I could summarize that book in just one sentence, like ghost hunters who hunt the ghosts of serial killers. Really clean. But also it was more tropey. I know that it's an enemies to lovers romance. Conflict is baked into the pitch when I say that it's like enemies to lovers, but they're kidnapped by a serial killer who's forcing them through games. Like people who know Saw know how gory those games are, and the idea of watching two people that they care about going through that is immediately emotional. Falling in love in a serial killer's basement is kind of taboo. It's also pretty shocking. And the male main character in this book is just completely head over heels for the girl, but she just doesn't know it. And so she's very significant to him. So now I'm going to quickly break down the videos that have gone most viral for me and explain to you my thought process and why I think they did. The only video that ever got like any kind of views for They Stay on TikTok was a POV video that I did, just like kind of sharing the premise of it. So it was like a close-up of my face with really dramatic music. I will see if I can find it and show it on the screen here.
I got a copyright strike on this, so this one was recorded to that song from Euphoria, the like, doom, doom, still don't know my name, doom, you know that one. You're welcome that you're now getting this instead of the actual song. I'm sure you're so pleased, but I figured that this would be better than silence, although now I'm actually second-guessing that decision.
It was really dramatic music, and I was basically just telling the story of what happened in the book, but from my point of view. And the reason I think it got decent views is just because it was really long, and I duped people into thinking at the beginning that I was really talking about something that happened to me. So people were like getting a little bit more invested, but then when they found out it was a book, it was a little bit too much of a plot. Like I didn't see any kind of jump in sales. It topped out around 10,000 views, which is not a lot on TikTok. I think the reason it didn't do very well is just because it didn't make people feel enough to make them want to really find out more in the world. It was just too much of a plot summary and not enough of like an emotional hook. And now comparing that to the videos that have done well from the Love Trials, usually anytime I market this book, I get like 1,500 views on any video that I post about it, even if it's not like a really good one. But these are the ones that have done like upwards of 50,000 views and that have actually like gotten traction and have gotten me readers. The one that I probably got most of my beta readers from was just this video that was just me filming my forehead, sitting on the couch being like, you know, it would be really nice if I had some beta readers. But that's just a testament to my one sentence pitch. Like, it's high concept enough and emotional enough that people are just immediately interested from me talking about, like, if I say criminal minds, supernatural, ghost hunters who hunt the ghosts of serial killers, people get a very clear visual of what I'm talking about. But the ones that have done well, there's this video that was basically me saying, like, they get kidnapped by a serial killer who kills couples. The serial killer takes enemies accidentally, and they do anything to get out alive. I did a couple of versions of this, and I put them on trending sounds, and that pitch, especially if I say enemy still lovers in there, does really well.
Another copyright strike. This one was to Sabrina Carpenter's Goodbye. Sayonara, adios, forgive my French, but fuck you, ta-ta, goodbye.
The reason why I think it does so well is because you have the conflict embedded in that already. Having a serial killer take people forced to play games and they're in love, like, you immediately get an idea of how that book is going to make you feel, because you know you're going to be rooting for them if they're in love, and it's going to be absolutely heart-wrenching when they have to, like, participate in the games. There's a high risk of serious emotion. Another video that has done very well for me is me basically just putting my pitch on there, like, ghost hunters who hunt the ghosts of serial killers. It's inspired by criminal minds and supernatural, and I put a lot of comps in there. So I say, like, if you like Lockwood & Co., if you like Still Beating, if you like Saw, if you like all these different things, then you're gonna love this book, and it also has spice in it. Putting all of my comps in there immediately tells TikTok who to push my videos out to. I tried this for They Stay and it didn't work, so take this with a grain of salt, but I think if you combine it with, like, a high concept pitch that people respond to with the emotion, if you put all your comps in there, then TikTok knows who to give your videos to, which allows you to actually, like, connect with readers who are already interested. This video also did really well for me. This is just, like, the introduction to my male main character, and I wrote this line with TikTok in mind because I knew that this would be something that did well on TikTok, and I was right. She gets attacked by this possessed serial killer, and she's saved by this, you know, this really hot ghost hunter and his mentor, and he's trying to make sure she's okay. She's so hopped up on adrenaline, she punches him in the face, and then he's, like, rubbing his jaw, and he's like, well, you're an angry thing, aren't you?
Grab that mop, I got something, bitch. Better find a mop, it's getting sticky in this bitch.
The reason I think this does well is just because it is unexpected. Like, if he's trying to save her and she punches him in the face, it's just something that is shocking, like she punches him in the face. It's not really taboo, but it's more of, like, unexpected and shocking. And also, he has a sexy line. Having your male main character be a dark and brooding, morally gray, moody man that calls the female main character XYZ thing apparently does very well. But I would like to say that this is the only time that he calls her thing in the whole book, because I can't stand, like, any, like, demeaning little, like, kitten or any, like, that stuff to me is so gross. But this one was okay, and then she calls him out on it hard. I don't have nicknames in this book because any nickname that I put in just felt really stupid and awkward. But he has a couple lines in there, like calling her angry girl, or, like, eventually my angry girl, and that is cute. So obviously, you know, if you can make your male main character sexy, that helps. And then any scenes that I have, like, savage banter do well as well. Like, this video did well.
Grab that mop, I got something, bitch. Better find a mop, it's getting sticky in this bitch.
They're in, like, a training session or something, and he tells her to sit, and she's like, I'm not a dog, and he's like, no, if you were a dog, you would listen to instructions better. And people are like, oh, sick burn, savage, and those do pretty well too. If they're like really funny one-liners or like really like mic drop moments or moments of sass, those do really well. So just to recap and put in a list all of those reasons, the reasons that I think these videos are doing better is my pitch is high concept, enemies to lovers in a serial killer's basement is very clear on what it is, and the emotion is baked into that pitch. Picturing it makes you feel something because you know have a rough idea of how that's going to play out. You get a clear emotional picture of the entire book. None of these pitches take very many words for me to communicate what the emotion is. The plot of They Stay is very complicated compared to this book, and it takes a lot more words for me to explain what They Stay is about. Also, the idea of having a spicy scene in a serial killer's warehouse is very taboo, and that is something that is a draw to the TikTok algorithm. So all that is fine, but how does this apply to you? I'm gonna be completely honest with you and tell you I still don't fully understand intellectually why love trials work so much better than They Stay. But I know that I can feel it. My pitch for the love trials affects me emotionally more than my pitches for They Stay. And I haven't been able to intellectualize why that is, and I'm trying. But I do know that it's kind of an I know it when I see it thing. Like I know it when I feel it. And I've started listening to that inner voice of mine more and more when I've been creating marketing copy and also while I've been writing. So the most actionable takeaway I can give you is to go test your ideas on TikTok. Open a TikTok account. Make videos sharing your pitches for your ideas. You don't even have to write the book yet. Just put in scene ideas, put in plot ideas, and see if you can figure out what people are responding to. You can test out what people are responding to before you even start writing, and that can give you an idea of what your hooks will be and what's going to sell your book, so you can kind of structure your book around that. Obviously, it's better if you have excerpts or like, you know, if you have scenes that you've actually written, but just if you're starting out, like I would throw some feelers out there and play around with it. Like maybe you are already writing the book, maybe you already have a draft and you haven't been able to be successful marketing it on TikTok. I would just go and make some stuff up, like make some scenes up that maybe aren't in your book or are not in your draft, but could be in your draft, and then put those out there and see how they do. And if all of a sudden those scenes start really popping off, maybe you can reconsider maybe you can think of ways to add some of those scenes into your plot, or like configure an idea around the things that are doing well. I'm not saying that you have to do this by any means. You don't have to write to the TikTok algorithm. You don't have to change what you're writing and what you love about your story in order to appeal to an algorithm. Actually, you really shouldn't. If you hate all of the ideas that do well on TikTok, if the idea of writing to an algorithm makes you really, really angry and not want to do it, if any of this kills your love for your story, do not do this. Your readers will be out there on a different platform, and there are other ways to reach them that are not TikTok. But if you are writing in a similar genre, if you like reading book talk books, if there are things in these pitches that appeal to you, or if you see the TikTok viral books and you want to go down the TikTok road, then I think it's important for you to consider these things just to set you up for success, because writing a book is a huge job, and it's a good idea to write scenes that will ultimately make good marketing copy. But that's all I have for this video. If you have a second, I'd be super grateful if you could like it and also subscribe to my channel. My name is Claire Fraze, and I'm an award-winning author who makes weekly videos sharing actionable writing tips that helps me make my own writing better. If you're interested in checking out my series that does not do very well on TikTok, I would be super grateful and you would make my day. My 5-book paranormal thriller series is called They Stay, and they're available in like pretty much anywhere, and I've linked them in the description of my video. Is there anything that I missed in this video? Are there things that you have found that you emotionally respond to on TikTok when you've been just scrolling and looking for books? If there is, I'd be super grateful if you could comment below and let me know what that is. I am always trying to figure out how to intellectualize the things that I'm just learning to do off of feeling. And sometimes that can be really hard. Like, I really like following my feeling and how things make me feel, but it's really hard for me to explain how to do that to other people when really what I do is go based off of my feelings. So if you have other tips or like ways that it's been framed that really click in your mind, let me know, because that would be super helpful for me to know. But I hope you have a good week, everybody. And as always, happy writing.